Today's qualifying session is about to start here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and what a cracker of a session we're expecting it to be.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, once again, we are back with career mode after only 1 day's break. How good is that to actually get a roll on with this series once again? But here we are for the Spanish Grand Prix. Should be an interesting race. This track, you know, it's a bit 50-50 for this car as to whether it's going to suit our car. You know, there is a lot of high-speed corners and there is that third sector which really plays into our favour. However, the first sector, though, is definitely not one that really plays into the strong points of this McLaren. But we'll do our best, as we always do. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to up the difficulty for this episode. I have seen your comments over the last few videos saying that, you know, the AI are too easy, we're doing, you know, too well against our teammate, blah, 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 but, yeah, unfortunately, I just haven't been able to. I remembered to do it. I've seen your comments, but I just, when it came to doing the race, I just completely forgot about it, but it will come into effect for the next episode, the Monaco Grand Prix. But to be fair, though, the difficulty itself right now is at 107, and it's basically there, 99% in terms of, you know, getting the max out of the difficulty from the AI. They're only literally going to improve by a tenth, 2 tenths per lap at maximum. But qualifying 1 is over. We just scraped through. Same too with Alonso. I think he was about a tenth or 2 behind us as well. So McLaren, on paper, it looks like is a little bit better to this track versus some of the ones previously we've been to. So yeah, we'll see how we go. It's good and promising to see that Alonso is finally competitive in a qualifying session. As of late, he's just been absolutely terrible. Ever since we started Season 2, I don't know what it is, he's just been so slow. One of the patch, I think it might have been 1.5, might have slowed him down, because we couldn't out-qualify him for the life of us at the end of Season 1, so don't know what that's about. But here we are, qualifying 2, right at the end of the session. We basically put in a few laps. This is our final run of the session, currently set to improve by almost 7 tenths, so this should hopefully put us in the mix to go through to qualifying 3 if the lap is good enough. Alonso is in front of us as well, so he's looking pretty pacey, but I don't think with that time he will get out of the session. He won't cross the line to improve again. So as we cross the line ourselves, we go, I think it was P9 we briefly saw as we cross the line, and it is. So we're through to qualifying 3 once again, and again the pace looks very, very promising. We just squeezed our way into Q2. We've done the same now for Q3, literally by a tenth or something like that. But yeah, I'll definitely take that as we move on to Q3 now. I don't know what we could really do in this session to really get in the mix, but like we did in Russia, I'm just going to hopefully try and grab even more positions. Anything from 10th and above would really just be a bonus in terms of a qualifying position. So in terms of this session, we only have the 1 fresh set of soft tyres to use, which we were given by FIA, as you do, by making it through to the 3rd part of qualifying. And yeah, this is literally the only run we will get in. But so far it looks pretty promising. I have hit all the apexes, no major mistakes to speak of so far as we head into the 3rd sector. Hamilton goes to the top with a 118.0. Just for reference, in Q2 we set like a 1 minute 20.4, so 2.4 seconds away from that. We'll be lucky to get in the 19s ourselves, and Hamilton is almost in the 17s. It is outrageous how fast the top 3 teams are over the course of a lap. But yeah, we will do as much damage as we can with the qualifying of the R&D upgrades. But across the line we go, P6 I think it was, and end up just squeezing in front of Sergio Perez Bottas, who has had a shocker of a lap, down in 8th place. We are qualified Kvyat and Esteban Ocon as well, so a really tidy lap. Basically got the most out of that, and that was pretty much the maximum of what we could have achieved. The next car ahead was Max Verstappen, 6 tenths ahead of us, so absolutely no way we could have found any more time than that to move up a further grid position. But that has been qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix. As once again, we just seem to be best of the rest once again. So heading into the race, really our goal is just to try and hold on. And if anything, if there's any opportunities that arise from the cars in front squabbling, then we'll try and make the most of that too. But it's time for the race for the Spanish Grand Prix.
A tough race in store then for our drivers today. So tell me, Anthony Davidson, what will you be looking out for as the cars make their way down into turn 1?
Well, first of all, let's hope that everyone's well behaved and we can have a nice incident-free start. That initial release is going to be the most interesting thing. and the clean side of the grid will be better rubbered in, so keep an eye out for cars over there potentially making their way through.
We need you to finish in 13th or higher today.
Thanks for that, Jeff. I think we should be fairly easy on that one. That shouldn't take too much effort to get in the top 13 in this race. But welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix. We're on the grid now for the start of the race. Two-stop, I believe, going from the softs, mediums, and then finishing on the mediums once again. I did debate or toss up in my head whether to go for the one-stop, but I thought, let's just go with what everyone else is going with and don't play it too risky. We are already in a very solid position in 6th place at the moment. That would be absolutely incredible to stay here for the rest of the race, but of course, as always, we still want to move forward if any opportunities do present themselves. You can see Valtteri Bottas and the Mercedes starting right behind us as well. Here we want to watch on this opening lap, but here we go. Ready for the start of the Spanish Grand Prix. Away we go. Nice start. I have been using lean revs as of late to get off the line, and it really has helped us in the run into turn 1. Bottas is all over my rear diffuser. Thankfully enough, though, he backs out of it, though, as we head into turn 1 up the inside of Verstappen. Raikkonen going a bit slowly. Vettel and Ricciardo getting side by side and really slowing each other up. We go to the inside to try and follow Vettel through. And unfortunately, I just got caught up on the curb there. Lost the back end, and Raikkonen got through on us for P4 in the Grand Prix. So, yeah. It was really just the start of what could have been. We could have possibly even got in the mix there with Ricciardo and Vettel, but we just didn't get a nice run through there, and that was our opportunity done and dusted. We do have track position over Max Verstappen, though, and we'll see what we can do with that, though. Raikkonen going very slowly into the hairpin left-hander in the 3rd sector. As we head through the end of the first lap, you can see the gap to us versus Raikkonen. You can see, we still hold, decent position versus those guys through the 3rd sector. That's where this car really shines through, but it's the high-speed corners. It's the downforce that we're lacking, coupled with the lack of straight line speed, which is really going to be our demise today. That's where we really lack up against the top teams. And here comes Bottas. He's found his way around Verstappen. Now he's finding his way around the outside of me, heading into turn 1. I was being very aggressive with leaving Bottas some space, and we might have made contact, and we've made contact again. Bottas has a little bit of a moment there at the midpoint of turn 3. Again, contact is made on the run up to turn 4, and now it's going to be side by side, just where the Mercedes crashed out a couple of years ago in the real life series. But again, we just can't stay away from each other. We're constantly making contact. If you go through turn 5 or 6 now, I think it is, we're still rubbing side pods, and I think this time Bottas might have the position. I really didn't want to let that position go. I know it's so early on in the race, but I at least wanted to give it a little bit of a fight, and just to see what this McLaren could do up against Mercedes. But in the end, what's the point in fighting when they're like 2 seconds a lap faster? There's it's a bit pointless. But I thought I'd throw up the fight anyway and see what I could do. But yeah, that was really a losing battle we were fighting there. But we have a yellow flag through turn 1. That is Kimi Raikkonen, who is parked on the apex of turn 1 just about. And I'm not too sure what this arose from. He just basically ran wide, and then he just stops, which is really weird. I don't know if he's actually got a problem. Nothing was smoking from his car. He's still in the Grand Prix. Still have 20 runners. And as we go through the middle sector there, you can see no one was stopped at turn 1 anymore. So I'm guessing Raikkonen fixed whatever issue he had and just carried on. Maybe it was just a glitch with the AI, not knowing how to rejoin safely with cars approaching. That's probably what it was. But anyway, lap 7, we're diving into the pits now for our very first stop of the race. Going on to the mediums. I believe Verstappen undercut me on the previous lap, and that's why we're responding quite early on in this race. Onto the mediums, and we're going to rejoin, quite a bit down the order, but we should have a bit of an undercut on the rest of the midfield. You can see Verstappen, though, has worked the undercut to perfection, gets the spot back on us, and we'll rejoin probably 3 or 4 seconds up the road as we take a little bit of an excursion through the first chicane there at turn 1. So, yeah, not the greatest way to start this middle stint, but we carry on to the 8th lap, and you can see Wehrlein going very slow in front of us. See, we actually got a notification from Jeff saying that he had some kind of problem that was really slowing him up, and yeah, that Sauber is so slow. I mean, we were rivals with the Sauber in Season 1. They were basically par with us on pace, and now that we just overtake them like they're nothing. They're so irrelevant now in Season 2. That's why I'm so I'm so excited for Season 3, because we found 2 seconds in between season 1 and 2. Can we find another 2 seconds in between this season and the next to get in the mix with the front runners? That's what I'm hoping, especially with some ultimate engine upgrades and some downforce stuff. That can be the end goal. But anyway, don't want to get it too ahead of ourselves. Lap 9, we're currently in the shadow of Felipe Massa as he rejoined in front of us, did the overcut, and now it's going to be a good opportunity for him to show his pace and potentially move up the grid. You can see a massive train of cars in the pit lane there. I think Alonso was in that mix as well. They were basically all holding up the Mercedes and stuff, and was kind of bringing them back into the fight, but unfortunately their first stint didn't go on for much longer, and we couldn't really make much advantage of that. So it's going to be P8 for us. Essentially lost the position to Verstappen and Massa. Like I said, we get up the inside of Ericsson, and that puts us up in a P7. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the positions realigned now after everyone else has made their stops. And now for the second half of this race, we're going to have, I think it's Sergio Perez hounding us for P7 in this race. Just like in Russia, we've got Sergio on the charge and trying to fly right past us. He doesn't get us on that occasion. The straight, I guess, not quite long enough for him. We run it in rich revs and try and break the slipstream, and that's really all we can do in order to defend. Apart from that, it's all down to how aggressive Sergio wants to be under brakes, and more often than not, we can outbrake the AI as long as we have the racing line. The AI don't like to extend their braking zones or shorten them, as it will, too much in order to get the move done. So that's why we're able to hold on to positions fairly nicely sometimes. But either way, we had an incident in the middle sector. This is Max Verstappen all by himself, it seems, as he goes through turn 3. So this must be some kind of reliability troubles, typical for Red Bull and Max this season. He is out of the Grand Prix and will take no further part.
Safety car, no overtaking, reduce your pace. Keep your delta number positive as we form up.
So yeah, with the retirement of Max Verstappen, that has completely opened the race up for us once again. Not only moved us up to P6, but it also gives us a chance to dive into the pits and go onto our medium tyres to finish off the Grand Prix. We were literally only 1 lap away from making it to our pit window, and with the safety car, you do have a few laps that are, slower, so you can basically just dive in and not really suffer any consequences from that. However, the AI, due to their, their programming or whatever, they see, 19, 20 laps to go, and they go, oh no, the mediums can't make it that far, so they go onto the hards. At least that's what Felipe Massa did, and he will potentially be a little bit more susceptible to us at the second half of this Grand Prix due to his tyres, well, not being as quick as mine, being on in the mediums. But yeah, this race is really going to be interesting now. We've got a lot of people in the midfield who haven't made their second stop. Guys like the Renaults, my teammate, the Toro Rossos, a lot of cars. So we've got to make our way through the field and potentially get our way to the front. I'm not too sure what the leaders have done in terms of their second pit stop, so we might find ourselves at the very front of the field depending on how the pit stops shake out. So here we go then, ready for the restart of the Spanish Grand Prix. 12 laps to go, and hopefully we can find our way towards the front if the guys in front do decide to make another stop in this Grand Prix. We unfortunately lost Esteban Ocon as well, just to that restart. Very, very poor timing, it must be said. But either way, we dive up the inside of Carlos Sainz into turn 1. That's 1. Next up is our teammate Fernando Alonso, and all these guys in front of us directly are on the medium tyres. They've been on them for at least 10 laps. We lose the back end though at the top of the ripple strip through turn number 8, I believe it was. Up the inside of Fernando, he leaves us the space. I know there's a meme there somewhere, but yeah, that's us in 11th place. Raikkonen is just a few car lengths back from us, and unfortunately with Fernando and Sainz making their stops, that basically gave Kimi Raikkonen the free track to basically say, here you go up and catch me. That's exactly what he's going to do for the next couple of laps. He's going to absolutely close up that gap and really start to put pressure on me. So for me now, it's down to how many cars we can put between ourselves and Raikkonen in order to make sure he doesn't get anywhere near us in this race, because we know how quick the Ferraris are. Like I said, 2 seconds a lot faster, and on the hard compound tyres as well. He's not going to be dealing with any such tyre wear, where for us, we might be struggling a little bit, at least in the last 3 or 4 laps, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Unfortunately, with all the midfield runners making their stops, I had no protection. That was literally it. It was just me, Massa, and Raikkonen, all in this mini train, fighting it out for the next 10 or so laps to decide who will finish in the top 5. And opening DRS for the first time in a while. I got confused as to which button it was. The buttons and the controls are very similar and mixed matched to the Xbox ones, and yeah, it's hard to decide which is the right button, especially when I'm switching from Xbox to PC like on a daily basis. They just kind of blend into each other. But either way, we're settling into this battle quite nicely. Massa on the hard compound tyres. He is slower than us, it seems, at least through the middle and third sector in a straight line, though. We seem to hold fairly decent pace with him, especially with the DRS coming into play now. But unfortunately, as what I feared, I think this McLaren Honda just isn't fast enough in the right areas. We're good in the third sector. We hold our own in the middle with downforce versus the Williams. And with the straight line speed, we just don't have enough of it to overtake Massa in a straight line and into turn one. It's just a shame that we can't do anything in the overtaking areas, which is really holding us back. But in saying that, Raikkonen is getting fairly close now, and the only thing that's really keeping us from being overtaken by him is the fact that we get DRS and slipstream off of Massa off of that start-finish straight. So at the moment, it feels like it's a little bit of a stalemate. So it's just going to be down to who blinks first, who makes the first mistake as to who's going to find their way in front. But my money's on Raikkonen. I can only maintain this track position for so long before I make a mistake. The AI are almost bulletproof when it comes to consistency and stringing together good laps, especially when they're on the hard compound tyres. You can see the gap that Massa has amassed himself already. I've made another mistake with the DRS button. We're not going to hit this lap. We are going to continue on. Here goes Raikkonen to the outside now. And no, he kind of backs out of it there. The gap kind of closed on itself there. So we hold on to the position. Raikkonen again follows me very closely as we head into the third sector hairpin. And we just have enough, I don't know, desperado under brakes. And we managed to hold him out ever so slightly. So 3 laps to go. Again, we're back in the same stalemate that we were in the first place. We had the pace to re-catch up to Massa, who looked like he was breaking away a little bit, but managed to close that up once again. Here comes Raikkonen to the inside, as late as you dare into the hairpin. We hold on. Massa kind of gets away because we're getting distracted by Raikkonen, and it's just a rinse and repeat, lap after lap. I just don't have the straight line speed, and Massa's not making any mistakes, and if anything, the balance is kind of going back in the favour of the AI, especially since they're on the hard compound tyres and I'm on the mediums. My tyres are just wearing out faster than theirs, and my effectiveness up against them just isn't as good as what it was at the start of the stint. I really had to overtake Massa at the first opportunity in order to be half a chance. But Lewis Hamilton has won the Spanish Grand Prix. Again, we defend from Raikkonen. This time we were on the inside, and Raikkonen had absolutely no way, no chance of finding his way around the outside there. So it looks like it's going to be P6 for us. This is going to be a great result. I was, really going to be happy with P6 or anything better than that, and that's going to be 8 points towards the championship tally. And once again, the point streak continues in Season 2. I just can't believe it.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
So there you go, guys. That has been the Spanish Grand Prix. In the end, that was, I don't know, that's pretty confidence-inspiring to say that we can at least hold off a Ferrari in a straight-up fight. Yes, we did have Felipe Massa in the mix to really help us out there, but in the end, a small victory over Ferrari is a win in the end. But Lewis Hamilton won the Grand Prix. I believe Sebastian Vettel came home in second. Valtteri Bottas home in third. Max Verstappen, the only DNFer apart from Esteban Ocon, who retired at the safety car restart as well. Fernando. 57 seconds off the pace. He was fairly close to Hulkenberg, though. I think he was like a tenth or two away. Again, he was probably in a fairly similar position to me, just not fast enough in the right areas to make up positions. That's why I say it every episode. Like, this car is not fast enough in the right areas. We can't overtake, and that's why I need to upgrade the engine, which I think I'm slowly coming to that realization that I should really finish off the final engine upgrade, or the ultimate upgrade. Apart from that, we only have one major upgrade as well, and then we'll be fully, maximized in terms of power. So hopefully then we can be, on the same level, or maybe even better than the Mercedes. We'll have to wait and see. Rivalry update: we defeat Daniel Kvyat, only just though by 1 point. So, good to get a rivalry win every so often. I think I only won like once in Season 1, so that just shows, you know, how irrelevant and how, like, you know, meaningless the rivalry can be. It's mostly weighted against, like, qualifying position and fastest laps in the race, which, you know, really, in theory, they don't mean too much. It's really just about, you know, championship position and, you know, where you finish in the race that really counts in a rivalry kind of standpoint. But here you can see resource points, and this is what we need to do in the way of upgrades. I think we're fine in terms of the chassis. I really feel like we have a really good, you know, foundation. The car is fine. The downforce though needs some work, but we also still need to do those final touches on the engine just to make us at least, you know, competitive, or at least comparable with the Mercedes powered cars. I think then if we're comparable, then we don't need to worry about, you know, any more engine upgrades, at least for a little while, until like season 3. But yeah, that's been this episode for today, guys. The Spanish Grand Prix. As you can see, we're basically running to the end of our second power unit now, and we're going to have to switch to our third, possibly for the Monaco Grand Prix, which is coming up next. Our gearbox, though, looking pretty worse for wear, 63%. I might see if I can make it to the end of the next episode with that gearbox, and then if we do so, we won't take a penalty by taking a new gearbox, and that will just reaffirm to me that, you know, our gearbox reliability now is fine, and we won't need to take penalties from now on, and we can, you know, not worry about that reliability aspect of things. Then we can possibly work on the reliability of the engine, which seems to be, you know, really, really bad. I think we may run over to like 6, maybe 7 power units for this season. We are burning through them so quickly, and that's just the way that it works with F1 2017. The Honda power unit, just, it doesn't last long. It's way worse than the Renaults, way worse than Ferrari, and a hell of a lot worse than Mercedes powered cars. So that's just what we have to live with at the moment, but we're sacrificing durability for performance in order to be competitive. But that's been this episode for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and see plenty more F1 2017 videos. The next race is the Monaco Grand Prix, and I tell you, at that racetrack, anything is possible. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Until then, I'll see you next time.